Hello, my fellow Americans. This is A.J. Wildman. I would like to welcome you to the first edition of the CS2News Report. This is going to be your internet news program. My plan is to have this program come along and be produced every week, once or twice initially. The programs are going to run probably 20 to 30 minutes, just like a news program. Except these programs are going to focus on providing you, the public, my fellow Americans, with perspective on issues, information on issues, and education about things that a lot of us don't think about every day. There's a whole lot of domestic and foreign policy things that people just don't know about because there's no need for them to get involved in them. Now, what I'm going to do is provide you information on that. And basically, I've had thousands of one-on-one interviews or just chit-chats with people I meet anywhere about problem solving. My background is 30 years plus in the Washington, D.C. area, working for corporations and federal agencies in the IT business. I enjoyed that business, and I left it probably 15 years ago to start doing this. And sometimes it takes one of us, just another regular person, with a passion to try to figure out what our problems are, and curiously enough, try to fix them. A couple things you should know about me and about this program. Let me start with that. I am a bit nervous this first time, and I hope you'll bear with me on this, but as John Kennedy once said, that someone who's willing to embarrass themselves greatly, okay, is capable of doing great things. So hopefully that's the way this will turn out, and only time will tell. You're going to be the deciders on that issue. So this program is brought to you by the Independent Party of America. The Independent Party of America, or TIPA, as I will refer to it most of the time, is was originally called the American Peasant Party for a good number of years, and I wrote it under that. What I've done in these last 15 years, let me say, is that I finished one book. I left my job in the IT business to do that. And then a few years later, I wrote another book. It's called The Second Coming of Common Sense, or CS2, since CS2 News, Common Sense 2. I need you to know that I am, for one thing, a hardcore independent, political independent. I was raised kind of in a kind of Republican house, went through a Democratic phase. For the last 20, 30 years, I've really become a hardcore independent because I believe fully, and I've written about this for years, that both parties have failed us. The Republican Party more aggressively than the Democrats, okay, but both of them are at fault. I will beat up on both of those parties in this presentation and throughout all these presentations between over here and now, really over the next 8 months. About 8 months until our election, and we have time to do a lot of good things. Now, what else did I want to say in that event? The proposals I put together, the book CS2, okay, Common Sense 2, has at its core 27 proposals, and they are economic and social reform issues of various types, all aimed at fixing our ongoing problems. And they're designed by me in interaction with lots of people to be acceptable to 60% of the population at least. All right. Some people will hear something and go, I'm not real sure about it. But then they'll think about it and they'll listen to the news for a few more months, and then they come around and go, yeah, that's probably a good idea. So that's the way I'm looking at this. Okay, a little bit of overhead here, a little bit of admin on the first report. Like I said, this will be maybe 2 of these a week, and they will run 20 to 30 minutes. This is probably going to be a 25-minute program, but you probably saw that when you clicked on it on YouTube. All right, so there we are. I think it'll be worth your time, and I hope that if you like it, you'll pass the word about this on my website, which you see that's the main website across the screen here, to your friends and people who are concerned about politics and fixing things. Each report will have a primary topic. This primary topic this time is probably our biggest problem as a nation, and that, unfortunately, is the United States Congress. the 535 members of the Congress, 435 members of the U.S. House, Democrat and Republican, and 100 members of the U.S. Senate, also Democrat and Republican. So, of course, we know that the Republican Party has the majority in both houses. They have the White House, and they are doing their number on the Supreme Court. Okay? So, that's what we'll talk about here, and I will get really nasty on a couple of things, but they've earned it, and we'll just see how it all plays out. Now, the second report, I'll let you also know what we're going to talk about in the next program, so you can be aware of that. In this case, the second program, we're going to talk about the unfortunate series of mass shootings, school shootings that we've had in this country over the last few years, which is terrible. And very quickly, the way I'm going to address that, all right, is I've started a draft of an amendment to the Constitution where we're going to clarify gun rights, all right? Now, I've never owned a gun, may never own a gun, but I believe in gun ownership, okay? People own guns. The founders let us have guns for good reasons, all right? So we're not going to take those away from people. A couple things on those amendments. For example, in that amendment, which will be passed by Congress or ratified by the states pretty quick, we'll have things like the fact that no guns will ever be collected. People will not have to register their inventory of guns, okay? And that the government will put together a very streamlined, very efficient background check system, all right, that people at gun shows are going to have to use. So even at gun shows, not private sales, but gun shows are going to have to toe the line there. The other half of that is something I call the obvious guilt death penalty law, which I wrote about 10 years ago in that book, Common Sense. So I'm not trying to be opportunistic on this. And we'll find out that people who decide of their own free will, premeditatedly kill one or more other people, are going to very quickly get the death penalty. So, we'll come back to that in the next video in a couple of days. Of course, these videos will be posted on the CS2News channel on YouTube. There will also be a link to that video on my blog, which if you go to the website again here, bottom of the home page, you'll have links to my other things that I've published, and links to the other websites, my blog, the book site. You can go to the book site and download the entire book as a PDF for free, all 700 pages of it. Okay? Also, there's a Facebook page that I'm working on developing, and it's called Common Sense 2. It's Common Sense 2 ND on Facebook. Okay, now, and finally, if you go to this website and you go to the Solutions tab down on that, you'll see a list of like 39 different platform issues. It's like one would be reducing student loan payments. All right, go over here, click on that. You'll go directly to the platforms, the party's platform playlist on YouTube, and you'll get a 5 or 10 minute video on that particular topic. Hear me talk about things, get a sense of where I'm coming from on quite a wide variety of things, from social and domestic policy, foreign policy, and particularly some things on the environment, which we all have to do something about pretty soon. Now, so enough on all that. Now let's talk about the dysfunctional Congress of the United States. Okay? And I will have some comments in the middle of all this, and I'll have a small rant at the end about the lying Donald Trump. Okay? Lying Donald. It's really sad that we have a perpetual chronic liar as President of the United States. It's such a terrible role model for everybody. Okay? Okay, again, the reports are going to provide perspective, information, and education to my fellow Americans on how things work, why they're broken, and how we the people can fix it. And you know why we can fix things? It's because we can. We have the ability to put people in office, take people out of office that aren't fixing anything. So like, it's only been 3 weeks since Parkland, Florida happened, and already the Congress has forgotten all about it. So I will be at the march on the 24th with my CS2News hat on, okay? And hopefully we're going to keep that stirred up all year. and that'll get people to vote. Now, if you, as a side note on voting, if you, a member of your family, your friend, or whatever, tells you that they're not registered to vote, I want to set a goal for everybody that by July 4th of this year, okay, just 4 months from now, that you will go to the motor vehicle department or your election board and get registered to vote, because we need people to come out and vote in huge numbers, and I think there's a great chance for that. Okay, about the Congress now. By definition, the job of the U.S. Congress, and the U.S. Congress is made up of 435 members of the House of Representatives and 100 members of the U.S. Senate. Their job, by definition, is to solve the problems that cannot be solved at the state or local level. Okay? Instead, okay, what I should say about that is, currently, the collective approval rating of Congress is less than 10%. Approval rating, which means if you word it the proper way, their disapproval rating is at least 90%. And you and I would have been fired a long time ago if we had such a bad performance rating. Now, all right, I think this is good. Moving right along. Now, over the last few decades, more and more over the last 30 years, the U.S. Congress has begun to do this, wash their hands of solving any of our problems. What they're doing more and more is they're saying, well, we have to wait for the new president to come in. Or the one party says, well, wait till we get the office, the White House back again. They're waiting for some man or woman, one day it will be a woman, all right, to come in and tell them, okay, just walk in the door and say, well, this is how you fix health care, and this is how you fix the tax system, and this is how you fix Social Security, all right, all these different things. And this is ridiculous. They have so many resources at their disposal. It is just insane. It's a sin. So basically they said, this person's going to come in 4 or 8 years and tell us how to fix everything. And that's ridiculous. Now, so in general, you could think of them, instead of being problem solvers, they are problem managers and problem perpetuators, because their real job over more and more over the last few decades is to maintain the status quo. Because the wealthy and certain big industries pay for their re-election campaigns more than anybody else. And they're the ones that they bow down to, okay? And basically they're saying, we're making a lot of money on the way things are, just leave it alone. And if we have this little burp in 2007, 2008, we want you to come and bail us out, people, so we can turn around and screw you some more later, all right? So there it is. All right, let's see. Now, what else is going on here with the Republican Party? As I said, they're pretty much committed to the wealthy and big business, okay? The most recent thing that we've seen is, and basically, all countries throughout the history of the world, okay, have wrestled with, and to this current day, the internal struggle between the haves and the have-nots for power and wealth, mainly power. If you have power, you have control. So, and with this last thing that the only thing, basically the major thing that they've accomplished is their tax cut. And that tax cut was made to profit business and profit the wealthy. They threw some crumbs down to some of the middle-class people, some of the people down here at the bottom, making a couple extra pennies a week or a couple bucks a week, and that's not enough. And what they did is they gave away $1.5 trillion, all right? Now they're going to turn around and say, well, they don't have money for infrastructure. And then Trump has one of his temper tantrums the other day, and he says, okay, 25% tariff on steel and a 25% tariff on imported aluminum. And that's bouncing around. Now they're trying to figure out how to save us from that mistake. So, that's the type of thing that the Republicans have got to really suck it up and help us with. Now let's see, I think that's pretty good. And basically, the Republicans have got to show more guts now dealing with Trump, and I'll come back to that in just a minute. The Democrats, on the other hand, or the Democratic Party, as I like to call it, they simply don't have a platform that's going to do anything, okay? They want to give away everything to everybody, and nobody pays. Of course, The Republicans have gotten pretty good about giving things away too, in the last several administrations they've had. So all we're going to do is we're going to just call the Democratic Party out and say that they have don't have a platform. That's why the rest of this year I'm going to be pushing any Democratic candidates and any independents that we can get in there also, okay, to adopt, to embrace my platform, because this platform is our platform, okay? Excuse me. So that's what we're going to do with that. Now, the Democrats want to give everything to everybody. Like, I like Bernie Sanders, but Bernie's a classic progressive, heavy right-wing liberal. He wants to give college education to everybody, and we don't have the money to do that. There are other ways that we can help people, short of a 4-year college degree. So we're going to do that. I have that all laid out, in my other proposals. Okay. Now, if you go to my website, main website, homepage, and page down to the bottom, I have a 9-page plan in there for immigration and population management. Okay, and it includes how we're also going to deal with the DACA issue, because we have to deal with the DACA issue. It's like a sucking wound. Instead of losing blood, we're gaining all this extra people, which we frankly don't need. And as we get into dealing with the overall population issue, and we get into dealing with the long-term effects of sea level rise, we're going to have complete control over who comes and stays in our nation. So there is that. So we're going to be beating up the Democrats. So what are we going to do about it? Okay. First, let me make clear where I am in this whole process. I am a certified independent candidate for the office of the President of the United States in the year 2020. I am registered with the Federal Elections Commission, certifiable. Okay? Now, of course, that campaign isn't going to start until at least a year from now, because it doesn't make sense to do that if it works out that way, which I do hope it does. But my focus entirely is this platform, this election, and getting rid of as many Republicans as we can, flat out. Now, so I will use this report to spread the word. Okay, I'll be doing some other things, getting around the country. I get a little bit of funding. I'm going to put myself on the road and take this message back and forth across the nation all summer. Okay, or longer than that. So get ready for, here comes the reality of dealing with the Congress and also state Congresses, which in some cases aren't just as screwed up as the Congress. Basically, it's where the rubber meets the road. This isn't just politics, it's hard reality. The first thing we're going to do is embrace the fact that the Republican Party must be deliberately crushed this November, starting this November and probably finishing up in 2020. The Republican Party must, in good faith, begin impeachment proceedings against Trump later this summer. Okay? Because he's only getting worse, and I can't imagine what 2.5 more years of that character is going to be, other than disastrous. I'm recommending that voters, voters vote out it was 8 senators, Republican senators up for election this year, out of the 34. But there's another resignation or some type, somebody's having an issue, I think, in Texas. So there may be 9 Senate seats, Republican seats up, and we should just get rid of them. Replace him either with a Democrat or an independent, because there is still time, as we'll discuss over the next few months, to get a lot of good candidates in there yet, in most states, okay? All right. We want also voters to take a serious look at the 200 plus seats in the U.S. House occupied by the Republicans, where they have the majority at the 435, and vote those rascals out, men and women. Women say that women in the Congress. Well, I'm sorry, what are those women doing? They're doing the same job as the men in most cases. So that might burn a couple of fingernails, but let's be realistic about it. What are they doing other than yada yada yada? It's the same way the men are yada 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 about things, and then nothing gets done. So there it is. All right. As for the Democrats, while the public is showing its real venting itself on the Republicans, the Democrats should step up and take a hard look at the platform that we're going to be discussing in this program and other things for the rest of the year, because that's what America needs. Also, there are a few political groups that are out there that are trying to run new Democrats, Republicans, some independents around the country. Two groups in particular are the Brand New Congress. Look them up at brandnewcongress.org, I believe. Good group. They have a bit of a liberal agenda, but that can be modified also. And then there's moveon.org, also promoting people. So give those folks a look and just be open-minded, I think that would be good. So we can put new Democrats in both the House and the Senate. It's not just get rid of the Republicans. The Democrats can go too. So that's pretty much all I had to say about those things today. That's really pretty much the clean and jerk. The Democrats have got to do better when it comes to realistic programs. And the Republicans just have to go. Sad. My intent is to get some in my independent party, the Independent Party of America, the word spread across the country, begin to build some groups in every state. Maybe get a couple candidates even put in this year, but then the focus of the next 2 years will be to build an independent party, build the independent party, and have a good roster of candidates running full bore against in all seats that are up for election in 2020. Okay. Now the thing about Trump, real quick. Trump is an unbelievable disaster. He's like a snake oil salesman, all right, and he lies all the time, and he's a national embarrassment, and he's just got the temperament and the reactivity of a 7-year-old having a temper tantrum. And he's an international embarrassment to us, and he's frankly doing almost everything in foreign policy and domestic policy that Vladimir Putin would want to have done. He's destroying our international relationships, and he wants to destroy our economy in any way that he can. Right? And he has a very bad economy himself. Right? But the thing you must remember about Putin is he is a KGB agent. Just like Marines, there's no such thing as an ex-Marine. There are only former Marines. Same thing, and strangely, applies to KGB agents. They're never ex-KGB. They're former KGB, and now he's got complete run. He's basically turned it into a dictatorship over there. So, but the Republicans could step up and impeach him. Or if we have the results of the polls that I hope that we do, it won't be very difficult for the first part of next year for impeachment proceedings to be exercised by the democratically controlled House and Senate. And he can be impeached basically on incompetence. Now, Mueller may get him before all that, because I have no idea how that's going to turn out. Nobody does. The other thing that could happen is one time when Nixon was near impeachment, a couple of senators, I believe it was, a couple of people, members of Congress, went up to him one night and said, "Richard, it's really time for you to go." And there may be time to come pretty soon where some people got to walk up to the White House and say, "Donald, it's time for you to go." And I think if he were to resign, it might have to be a little carrot out there saying that they would guarantee him, his sons and daughter and son-in-law, free, clear ticket out, basically immune from criminal charges and civil suits. Walk away clean, no harm, no foul, and let it go. So anyway, those are some thoughts. And again, we have 8 months to get this all together. And the next video is going to be even tougher than this one. But I think you're going to see some changes here. The 27 proposals in the book were good 8 years ago or 10 years ago, and they're even more so today. I've come up with cost of living proposals more recently, and they're really going to make a difference. And they're talking about food, housing, rental, student loan payments, college tuition, all those nasty little things. So we can do this, right? We can do this, America. And the reason is that we can vote. And we can do these things because we can. So this is A.J. Wildman. I appreciate your time. Hopefully you'll pass the word. You like a little bit of what you're hearing from me. Hopefully you understand how sincere I am about this. and how much I'm concerned about the common good of my fellow citizens. Because it's citizens first, everybody else get in line. Thank you, and take care, and I'll see you again in the next CS2 News Report. Thank you.